Live webinar, Planning to Execution, Connecting Goals to Work in 2024. My name is Brianna Lewis. I'm your MC today. I'm a product marketing manager here at Asana. I work with many operations leaders like yourselves at various companies, helping them to leverage Asana to get their work done. Now it's what, the 23rd? It's still New Year's for me. All month is New Year's for me in January. So let's kick things off with a little New Year icebreaker. What is your New Year's style at work? Are you the firework bursting into the year with big, bold initiatives? Are you the resolutionist, setting ambitious goals and sticking to them? Or are you the countdowner, taking a measured step-by-step approach? Or are you the party planner, focused on team building and morale boosting activities? Let's hear from you guys. Personally, I'm a resolutionist. I love rallying the team around ambitious goals and setting the stakes really high for the year and getting really excited about that. Awesome. We see tons of different. Okay, we got a lot of resolutionists here. Yeah, okay. Okay, wait, countdowners, taking measured step-by-step approaches. That makes sense. Thanks for that. Before we dive in today, I wanted to set a little context for today's conversation. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Asana, we are the leading enterprise work management platform that drives clarity and accountability and maximizes impact at scale. Today, we'll be exploring how to enhance clarity and accountability at your organization by syncing your company's broad objectives to the nitty-gritty of the team-based work. We'll dive into how you're amplifying your team's impact via strategic initiatives, including ongoing monitoring and tracking. And then we'll discuss strategies for scaling your team's efforts by standardizing and automating workflows. And what I'm most excited about is that we're going to be bringing all of these real-life concepts to life in Asana with demos, showing how these strategies work in action on the Asana platform. And of course, we'll make plenty of time for Q&A at the end, so go ahead and make sure you're submitting those questions in the Q&A panel. And yeah, with that, I'm really excited to get started. Today, I'm joined by Regine Lebog. Regine is the head of global planning at Asana, supporting our revenue org. Prior to Asana, she led annual planning for the S&P Global Market Intelligence Revenue Org for 3 years during the largest merger in the firm's history. And we're also joined by Payam Pakmanish. Payam is our product marketing manager here leading demos. He has over a decade of tech experience and is our in-house Asana product expert. All right, so let's set the stage here. It's January, we're all settling back in. Holidays are officially over. We're ready to hit the ground running. So you have your goals, your strategies, your annual plans all in hand, but do you feel ready to put these plans into action in 2024? I have another little poll here for you guys. So you've got your plans. What feels like the biggest hurdle in putting these plans into actions? Love to hear from you guys today, so we have an idea of what kinds of things you guys are juggling with. Is it finding the North Star, a lack of clear objectives? Is it the prioritization puzzle, knowing what to tackle first? Are you playing that resource rodeo, making sure you're getting the right tools and the right people in place to get the work done? Or are you just really nervous about navigating the rapids, being able to adapt swiftly to unexpected changes and challenges that we all know will come this year? Let's see. Okay. Actually, even spread across all of these things. Wow. Well, hopefully our discussion here today will help you navigate some of these challenges so you can jump these hurdles with ease this year. So let's get started. Regine, thank you so much for joining us today, taking time out of this busy time of year for us. We're really grateful to have you here on the webinar. Speaking of, would love to hear a little bit more about your role at Asana. Can you give me some examples of like what you do, what your team does, and like what are some of your big goals for this year?
Thanks, Brianna. And hi, everyone. I really feel like I'm around my fellow ops folks when I saw Countdowner and Navigating the Rapids just take the lead on the polls. I'm so excited to be here today to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is planning and, just as importantly, execution. As Brianna mentioned, I lead the global planning team at Asana. And what that really means is we're responsible for program managing the sales planning cycle, We build and manage quotas and territories for the revenue org, and we also design and administer sales incentive plans. So across everything that we do, it's really critical that we're able to effectively partner with finance, revenue strategy, sales leadership, and our technology teams in order to build and execute our sales plan. As for some of our high-level goals this year, one strategic initiative that's more tactical to my team is to continue the migration of our quota capacity and territory models into a fit-for-purpose tool called Anaplan, and also to increase user adoption on the platform. Leveraging this tool enables us to streamline our processes and more quickly react to the shifting needs of our business. Our priority every year is to execute a flawless planning cycle, which means our revenue org is set up for success in the new year. And thankfully for us, we're only a week away from the end of the fiscal year. So there's still a little bit of time left to close off any of our last minute tasks and goals.
Awesome. That strategic initiative of migrating to a new platform, I know that can be really challenging for a lot of organizations, and it's a big undertaking. So you've got these goals. Like, what are your first steps in like translating these goals and these initiatives that you've planned for into like the actual execution of getting it done across teams?
Definitely. So once our company, business, and revenue goals are in place, the next step goes out to all of the teams sitting within revenue to ensure that our annual goals ladder up to company goals and then ladder down to specific initiatives, portfolios, and projects. As an ops leader, it's my job to make sure that our team is working on initiatives that directly support our overarching company goals, and also that every person on my team understands how their work ties back to our broader company objectives. I'm also going to need to be able to track and report on these goals throughout the year. So if at any point that a goal is off track, it's really important for me to quickly identify where the roadblock is happening and then pivot and adjust resources as necessary. So for example, if our planning goal is at risk, with Asana, I can quickly see where the gap is coming from, who the sub-goal owner is, and then work with them to get us back on track. When I first joined Asana, I was blown away when I realized that I could actually effectively align, track, and execute our goals effectively because I had full visibility into the work that was being done.
Awesome. Yeah, I think being able to react and change to different get the goals back on track is really part of being a dynamic and responsive leader, which I know is really important in someone's roles like yourself. I am excited. Payam, can you give us to show us what this looks like?
Hey everyone, yes, my name is Payam and I will be showing you how Regine uses Asana. So after Regine grabs her favorite ice cold latte, this is where she comes to start her day, in Asana at the homepage. And if you haven't seen Asana before, this is what it looks like. She can see her upcoming tasks, she can see her goals, and she can see the projects that she has on her plate. So just an easy way for her to know what she needs to tackle first. If I come over here to the top left, I can open up a sidebar where she can easily navigate to her goals. So if I click on goals right here, she'll see the two major company goals: grow customer value, exceed 510 million in ARR. And if I open this up, I'll see a sub goal in relation to this company goal: deliver 110 million SLG positive ARR. And then if I open it one more time, I'll see finally Regine's goal: execute flawless sales planning cycle.
Thanks, Payam. So in this example, let's say that the revenue team's goal is delivering that $100 million in positive sales revenue this year. In order to achieve that goal, our sales teams need to know how they're incentivized, what their target will be for the year, and who they can sell to. So Payam, if you can go ahead and expand the goal that I own, execute flawless sales planning cycle, you can see that achieving this goal involves various projects and work streams, such as design and deliver sales incentive plans in partnership with our comp team in finance, allocate quotas to sales together with our revenue leaders and rep strategy, and then build and assign our territories to our account executives. But you can see that our goals aren't just owned by folks on my team. They are owned by also our key cross-functional partners in finance, as well as collaborators that are a part of that goal, like in Rev Strat and Rev Leadership, that are constantly monitoring and tracking in addition to the DRIs on my team. Over to you, Payam.
Thanks for sharing that. And this is actually personally one of my favorite features about Asana, is seeing how my work is impacting other business objectives and higher goals within the company. So thank you for sharing that, Regine. Now let's say that Regine wants to actually go into her goal. So she can do that by just coming and clicking on the goal itself. From here, she can see the updated progress, a little description about the goal, what the objectives are. And she can see the sub goals once again, the 3 that she just referenced. But what's amazing is she can actually see the underlying work that's powering this goal, which in this case is the FY25 revenue planning portfolio. A portfolio is pretty much like a folder. It's where we house other projects within Asana. So if I click on this portfolio, we'll see that, okay, well, there's 3 projects on track, but oh no, one of them is at risk. So Regine's getting a little bit concerned. So she actually wants to see what's going on with this project. So she clicks into this project that's, again, at risk. And then she gets navigated to inside of the portfolio, which again houses all of these different projects. She'll see the 3 projects that are on track, and then the one that's off track. Then it looks like there was a status update. So she actually clicks into that status update. And she can see that Diana left a message recently flagging this project as at risk because the leadership team has yet to align on customer success team's incentive plan. There could be delay. Regine's getting a little concerned. So she actually tells Diana, hey, can we sync on this tomorrow? She sends that message to Diana so she can kind of figure out what's going on with this project. Why is it even at risk? From there, she can actually leverage AI, and this is one of the most powerful features that's coming soon with Asana, where she can actually set a status update, but she doesn't have to do it manually. She can go up here to the status, again, within the portfolio level, she can click on set status, and then she can click on draft update with AI. Now, we've generated this in advance just in the interest of time, but this is what you can expect with the draft with AI feature.
I cannot tell you how long I've been waiting for draft status updates on the portfolio level ever since it came out for projects. In my last company as a program manager, I was responsible for providing status updates across the whole project portfolio. And the way that I went about this is I had weekly meetings with all of my workstream leads, collected their updates, and then later wrote a broader status update for the leadership team to review so that they can get up to speed on the state of our initiatives. As you can imagine, this was a super manual process. With Asana, I've already assigned ownership and accountability to other members of my cross-functional team to submit their project status updates. And then later I can thread these into my broader status updates on the portfolio level. With AI generating what I would typically include in my status updates, you can see a summary overview that has a bullet for each of the key work streams, blockers, and upcoming milestones. What I really appreciate about this is AI is taking the first step at creating this update, so I don't have to start from scratch. And I can spend more of my time proofing and editing rather than starting from that blank slate. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Again, what a powerful feature that is. So let's go back into the portfolio, and let's say that Regine actually wants to kind of dig into that project that's at risk. She's commented back to Diana. She's drafted an update, she's posted an update, but she actually wants to dig into this project and kind of see if there's anything that she can do. So she can actually click within that project right here. And if you haven't seen Asana before, this is how it's organized. We can see the tasks that are assigned to everyone, as well as the assignee, the due date, and other custom fields that you can create on whichever matters to you in your organization. Utilizing this, she can see what's going on in the list view, but she also has the power to utilize the Gantt view, which is going to make her life a lot easier when she wants to see how these tasks are actually connected and if there's any dependencies or concerns that she needs to address. So it's a very just useful way to look at something from a different angle, a different visual, if you will. And she actually sees that there's a task that's overdue. It looks like James has not completed this AE channel plan proposal task. And she just got word that James is out of office for the next week or so. So she can utilize a feature within Asana called universal reporting, which you can think of as just a dashboard of reporting features you can customize. She has a pre-built report called team workload right here on the left-hand side. And if she clicks that, she can easily see James as well as the other team members and what their workload looks like for the upcoming week, month, what have you. And she sees that, okay, well, it looks like Jamie has a little bit more time on her plate. So she can actually utilize this to get a glance into who has availability, and she can go back into that project and she can actually reassign that to Jamie, just straight from here. So she can just put Jamie Staples. And just like that, she potentially prevented a lot of roadblocks that could have happened, or even a bigger delay, giving her and the organization the visibility they need and the tools to avoid any blockers or major delays in the future.
Awesome. Wow, that's really impressive. I love seeing how all it ties together. I feel like I have such a better idea of what work looks like for you, Regina, on a day-to-day. You mentioned earlier, you talked about pulling together all those status updates so you can compile a high-level view for your stakeholders and send like a portfolio level update. So that was a lot of manual work that you were doing in your past to do things like that. And now you were essentially the AI, or you were the Asana. I'd love to hear more about this. This like goal to work connection that you're able to leverage Asana makes your life significantly easier. Can you talk about like how you would do this type of work in your past before you were using tools like Asana?
Yeah, definitely. And I know those examples were just way too real of actual situations that happened during planning. So I'm hearkening back to those days for a second. Brianna, back to your question. So when I think about what I used to do before I came to Asana and other project management tools that we used to work, it's gotten a lot easier for us to be able to map our goals to the work and actually execute these plans. So let me bring you back to the old way of the way that I used to work. Our work management tools at the time didn't have the native functionality of linking goals to work. So what would typically happen is the company would release company level goals, our business goals would be released as separate comms, and our goals would be in a PDF slide or a presentation. And my job as a leader would be to reference these resources and to build out the goals for our revenue teams. Then the ops team would be responsible for threading these team goals to our company and revenue goals, and then do the heavy lifting of monitoring and tracking these in siloed projects and portfolios. With Asana, what's amazing is that every single team can get started on the goal process as soon as company level goals come out, and they can do the linking on their own to our broader company objectives. So this goal to work connection becomes much more streamlined and transparent. We're able to give a clear roadmap from strategic objectives to actionable tasks. And this was something that was super challenging with other tools that didn't have this native functionality, where we are evaluating tools that were just specifically dedicated to OKRs, but not necessarily able to give us that transparency into the individual tasks and work and projects that were being completed against these goals. So this clarity and structure hasn't just improved our efficiency, but it also enhanced our team alignment and accountability, which is key to successfully executing any of our plans. And then the other unique value add is I'm also able to get my team members to see how their work ladders up to company objectives. And in my past life, you could really only ever do this at the team level.
Wow, thank you. So yeah, you have these goals and they're mostly annual goals, and you have a strategy for how you're going to reach them. But you have to be able to track and monitor this throughout the year. And I want to understand, how do you measure success of your strategy throughout the years? Are there like specific indicators or milestones that you focus on to really understand if like you're on the right track here?
Yeah, it's definitely an ongoing and iterative process. So there's really 4 main buckets that we use to approach this. The first, most quantitative bucket are KPIs, of course. So we establish specific KPIs that are aligned to our strategic objectives, and they're carefully chosen to reflect the critical success factors that reflect our strategy. They can range from financial metrics like revenue growth or cost savings to operational metrics like project completion rate or customer satisfaction scores. And then there's milestone tracking. So alongside KPIs, we're setting specific goalposts throughout the year. And these milestones are checkpoints where we assess our progress towards our goal. They help us understand if we're on track or if we need to pivot our approach. So underlying all of the quantitative are qualitative review meetings that we hold regularly, where we discuss our progress against these KPIs and milestones. These meetings are really critical for keeping the team aligned and focused, and they offer an opportunity for course correction if needed. The last piece that goes back to navigating the rapids is that adaptability to change. We're measuring our strategy success based on how well we can pivot and adapt to changes that are happening, given today's dynamic business environment. So that flexibility and agility to modify our strategy in response to new information or shifts in the market or business decisions being made are really vital indicators for our success. So by focusing on all four of these areas, we're able to ensure that our strategy is actually grounded in real world execution and adaptable to change.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there. Let's double click on that adaptability to change, since so many folks here are concerned about navigating those rapids. So navigating the rapids is your ability to adapt to change and ongoing things. So in your role, you know, you have these planned projects and planned initiatives, but you also have to prioritize incoming work throughout the year. So can you tell me a little bit about your approach to doing that? Like when you have incoming projects with competing priorities, how do you start to navigate those rapids?
Yeah, so it really starts with a well-defined prioritization framework. And that goes back to the exercise that we're in now in aligning the work that we do to the company goals that we have. So when we're aligning these projects and tasks against our strategic goals and assessing their potential impact, it becomes super clear which projects should take precedence and then which are nice to haves or things on our wish list that we wish that we could do if we had all the time in the world, but needs to be deprioritized or deferred. When it comes to incoming work, we actually have an intake form and automations that are set up to collect all of the important information that we need for each request in order to make this assessment. And so this standardization is extremely valuable because it allows us to allocate work optimally across the team. And it saves time so that we have the bandwidth to focus on those last minute emergencies or changes that we need to actually think through as a team.
So it seems like you have a very strong framework for prioritization and you have an established process. Can you tell me a little bit more? How do you make sure that those process and that standardization like really scales the impact of your team across the organization?
Yeah, I sound like a broken record right now, but scalability starts with flexibility and having a flexible framework. So the processes that we establish are meant to be adaptable and scale as the project size changes, as our team structure changes, and our business goals change. So it's all about creating systems that are robust, but flexible enough to accommodate this growth. And we're constantly looking for opportunities and ops to automate repetitive tasks. So when we use tools like Asana, we can streamline workflows, reduce manual effort, and increase efficiency. So automation isn't just saving time, but it's also ensuring that we have consistency in every task that we do as we grow and scale. Also, scalability is going to require ongoing evaluation. So we're reviewing our processes and seeing where there are bottlenecks or inefficiencies. And we normally see this happen when the org is going through massive change or there are changes happening upstream or downstream of our processes. This iterative approach allows us to refine our methods continuously and ensure that they're effective as our needs evolve. And in Asana, it becomes as simple as modifying an existing rule or automation. We also have a continuous feedback loop from all of our stakeholders. So we understand any of the on-the-ground challenges and insights from the team to help us tweak and improve our processes and ensure they remain relevant and effective. And on the topic of continuous feedback loops, I just have to switch gears really quickly and touch on how we're addressing this during planning. So before we even kick off the planning cycle, we will always create a postmortem project as part of our planning portfolio. Here, we're dropping feedback as planning is happening on processes that didn't run smoothly or feedback from stakeholders on where we can improve. This gives us a head start on the more in-depth postmortem review when planning is complete. From there, what we recently started doing is leveraging Ask Asana Intelligence to help us kickstart the creation of action plans. So in this screenshot, you'll see we got feedback from our CX partners that our enablement sessions didn't really address the needs of their org. And Asana Intelligence goes on to recommend some tactical steps we would take to improve for our next cycle. What I love is that the recommendations are tailored directly to the problems we are trying to solve. And we already have a few recommendations before we have to kick off a brainstorming session. So the last call out when we think about maximizing and scaling impact is using data to inform our scalability strategies. This means analyzing project outcomes, resource utilization, and team performance to make data-driven decisions that support sustainable growth. So we're big on leveraging project dashboards to get a sense of the flow of work that's coming in from the revenue org. And using these dashboards, I can quickly see which members of my team have more tasks to do in the next week and where I might want to reallocate resources. So when I focus on these areas, we're ensuring that our processes aren't just effective for today's needs, but are also equipped to handle future growth and changes.
Thank you. Regine, you mentioned earlier that part of, your role is the prioritization of that incoming work, influx, and you have some kind of intake process. I think many folks here are also managing some type of project intake process. I'd love to hear from you. Those of you who are managing some kind of intake process, what are your biggest challenges in that project, managing project intake today? Is it prioritizing incoming requests, tracking and organizing your requests as they come in, or ensuring alignment with strategic goals? Or is it something else altogether? Would love to hear from you guys. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, we have quite a few people. It's tracking and organizing the requests. Okay, and ensuring alignment with strategic goals. Awesome. I'd love to hear a little bit more. Hopefully we can learn something here from Regine. She can teach us and her expert. Regine, we're gonna see what you do for your intake process. Payam, are you gonna show us what that looks like?
Yes. All right. So let me go back into Asana. I'm going to open up this project, and Regine, off to you.
Yeah, so this is a very real example of what our intake project looks like behind the scenes. So anytime there are headcount changes in the sales team, like attritions or new hires or leaves, we have a fairly standardized process that we need to execute for every headcount change, where we're updating the quota, we're updating territories, and then we're doing the next step of ensuring that these flow into all of our downstream systems. So all of this is automated with Asana workflow, and we've created rules to automatically add subtasks and assign them to people on my team who are responsible for executing those tasks. We'll also update the due date automatically to ensure that my team and our stakeholders know what to expect in terms of key deliverables. So in this example that Payam is setting up, we have a new hire named Jane. And for the purposes of this exercise, let's say that she's starting as an AE. Payam goes to the revenue dash, which expands to headcount change type, and we're going to mark that as a new hire. It's already updated it to new role. And then you can start seeing rules start to automate in the bottom left of the screen. And so what it's doing is it's actually assigning it to the person on my team that can handle this request. It's also setting a due date in advance. And then as Payam is expanding, there are subtasks that get created for additional tasks that might be owned by other folks on my team for follow-up. So this is a really simple example of how roles can operate, but I've seen some teams that have replicated multi-page process docs as tasks in Asana. I've seen teams take Asana bot and reply to the user requester first to earn request type and just immediately give them links to process docs or just additional information and context. And that's all happening without my team even going into the task just yet to start interacting with the requester. Payam, I'll hand it over to you to walk through how folks here can replicate this workflow for their teams.
Great, thanks, Regine. So yeah, basically, once we are in this project, you can actually go up to the top right where it says Customize. And if we click that, we can access all the rules within this project that Regine just went over. So if we click on Rules here, we'll see that we actually have a rule that when the type is set to new hire and the new role is set to an AE, we set the assignee to Chris, we create new 2 subtasks, and then we set the due date 3 days in the future. So this is how it's being done in the back end. And this is actually very, very powerful, but it's so easy to do as well. So why don't we do an exercise here where we do this live on the call. So let's say, for example, that instead of an AE, we want to change it to an SDR. And we also want to change the assignee from Chris to somebody else. How would we do that? Well, I'm going to create another section here, and I'll just call it only SDRs. And then I will come back into Customize. Now, if I come here and I click on Rules again, I'm going to click on Add Rule this time. If I click on Add Rule, you're going to see here that a lot of pre-baked rules are already set up for you, just depending on what you need for that specific task or whatever your workflow is. In this case, I want to say, let's say if we move a task to a specific section, we set the new role. So in this case, I'm going to click on this box and we're going to say if tasks move to a section. So by clicking this, I can change it from new to only SDRs. I want to set the new role from SE to SDR. And I'm going to create that rule. But actually, if I want to change something, or maybe I want to add one more thing, I can just come right back to that rule again. And let's say I want to not only change the new role to an SDR, but I want to change the assignee from Chris to somebody else. So in this case, I'll just click on that box, add action. And from here, I can type in assignee. And I'm going to change the assignee to, let's say, we'll say Amy Love. And then I'll click save. And now that rule is being created. And we'll know that the rule is set up with this section when we see this little lightning bolt. So what I'm expecting now is if I click and hold this task and I bring it down to the only SDR section, it should change from Chris to Amy, and the role should change as well. So that's what I'm hoping works. And let's see if that happens. We'll see that the rule is working behind the scenes. And there you have it. It's now assigned to Amy, and the new role is set to SDR. And obviously, this is just a glimpse of the capability of rules within Asana. Now, let's say, hypothetically, we have so many different rules and subfields, and we've really customized this project over weeks and months, but we want to take all that customization and we want to move it to another project. How do we do something like that? That is where bundles comes into play. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to the customize section, and I'm going to scroll past rules this time. I'm going to go to bundles. And what bundles does essentially is it takes all of the hard work that you've done, all the customization, and it ports that over to any project that you need it to. So I'm going to click on generate bundle from project. And that is a notification saying that, all right, we're generating this behind the scenes. Once this is done, I'll be able to apply this to any project that I have with all of that customization. So I'll go ahead and hit continue. And I'm not going to add it to any project right now, but let me X out of here. So this bundle is set. So let me show you how fast it is to take a new project and add all the logic from this project to a brand new project. I'm going to come over here to the create button up top, and I'm going to click on create project. And when you create a project in Asana, you can either start with a blank project, you can use a template, or you can import a spreadsheet. I'm going to start with a blank project, and I'm just going to say project new. Okay. And I'll click create project, and you'll see here, this is pretty bare bones. There's nothing in here at all. So I'm going to go here to customize one more time. I'm going to go down to bundles, and this time I'm going to click on add bundle. When you click on this, there may be a filter that's on, but you can easily just clear this. And we're looking for the revenue quota headcount bundle, the one that we just created with all of those rules. So I'm going to click on that bundle, and it's going to show me in advance what it's going to do. It's going to add 2 new sections, all these subfields, and the 3 rules that we have created. And then I'm going to click on add to project. And so now this bundle is actually being copied over and moved over to this brand new project. And once this is done, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do everything that I was able to do in the other project in this project as well. Okay, so I'm going to X out of here. And now we can see the 2 new sections that have been added. So let's just do this one more time. I'll say new hire is John Doe, and we'll say the new role is an AE. The revenue type is a new hire, just mimicking Regine's examples. We can see that it's assigned to Chris with the due date of Friday, but something changes along the lines and I actually need to change to an SDR and assign it to somebody else. I can just click, hold, and drag it. And now that logic is going to be applied as well. And using this, Regine is able to avoid potentially not working efficiently, essentially, and executing more consistently and scale these processes effortlessly. So let me actually go back to the bundle just so we can take another look, because I think Regine wants to touch on this briefly. Let me come back here. And Regine, off to you.
Yeah, bundles feel like my biggest productivity hack. Our planning team has been using bundles extensively this cycle since it was released. So to give you a little bit of background, when we execute planning at Asana, this is done on multiple levels. So there's company planning, there's business planning, which encompasses revenue and marketing. And then there's my little nest of the world, which is revenue planning. So when we work with all of our planning counterparts, we use bundles so that we can leverage the same custom fields, rules, and task templates. So our stakeholders can switch between company or business or revenue planning, and they don't need to take any additional time to acclimate to a new project. Using the same custom fields also means that our portfolio and universal reporting is working together seamlessly. And the best part is any one of us can make a change in the bundle, and it will automatically flow to all of our projects that's leveraging the bundle.
Awesome. No matter how long I've been in Asana, every time I see automation come to life with rules and bundles, it still feels a little bit like magic. It's like, how is this happening? Oh my gosh, technology. I love to see it. And thank you so much, Payam. The demos have been super enlightening. I hope that it's been great for you all to see what this work and can really look like in Asana using Regine's real examples. So thank you so much for all the demos today, Payam. Regine, we're wrapping up here. We have just a few more minutes, and I wanted to ask you one final question. You know, we're kicking off 2024. We're off to a great start. Like, what really excites you as like an industry leader about the potential for operational planning and execution this year?
Yeah, definitely. I think I and many of my ops colleagues on this call today is all about how can we make processes optimal? How can we save time? How can we make something more efficient? And for me, the advancements in operational planning and execution really come through the integration of AI. You saw how much time saved I could do with 5 minutes on a portfolio status update from what would typically take 30 minutes. I mean, if you multiply that by the number of project and portfolio updates you're doing, it makes a big impact. And what I love about AI is it's not just a futuristic concept anymore. It's becoming a vital part of how we're streamlining our processes, analyzing our data, and making smarter decisions. And so I'm looking forward for more of operations to be able to leverage AI in their day-to-day. And coupled with tools like Asana, it really becomes a more efficient, innovative, and impactful approach to achieving our company goals. So personally, I send project and portfolio status updates regularly to stakeholders, and you've seen how I was able to save that time through AI updates. I've been using Ask AI to help tackle questions and kickstart the brainstorming process, like you saw with the post-mortem example with CX. Some other things that we didn't get to were using AI to summarize tasks to quickly get up to speed on what can sometimes be 60 comments in a task when creating a new here at Asana. And when I create a new project, AI also creates, or I'm using an existing project, AI will recommend additional fields to add to the project. And in some cases, it'll also pre-populate those custom fields.
Yes, I am also very excited for all the new AI features. I'm already an avid user of the smart status updates. It saves a ton of time just summarizing all the things that's going on in a given project and sharing out to stakeholders. It's really important in our roles to like keep stakeholders aligned, but it is a lot of time to make sure that you're wrangling all the information. So I'm excited for that and more other ways that AI can really leverage and enhance the work that we do, especially in Asana. As we wrap up, we're going to spend a few minutes here on Q&A. So let's pull up these Q&A questions and see what we have. This question is for you, Regine. Regine, can you share any best practices for using Asana, speaking of stakeholders, for stakeholder management and project management within your organization? What are the best practices?
Yeah, so I really have to go back to the bundles example, and it goes back to creating operational norms that exist within your organization that you can automate using things like task templates, project templates, and bundles. So when I'm thinking about stakeholder management, one example that comes to mind is our decision-making framework. So we use Rapid to make key decisions when it comes to planning. And we've gotten feedback that where it sometimes falls flat is the follow-up that comes from a decision being made, documenting how it was made and who was involved. So one thing that the planning team released as a group for our most recent planning cycle were decision task templates. And so in each of our planning projects, there's a task template specifically built for creating strategic decisions, and it asks for all of the input that our stakeholders expect whenever a big decision is being made. So operationalizing those expectations with stakeholders and then also socializing it to everyone else in the planning team becomes super impactful and can be something that we can roll out within a day or two without necessarily needing to schedule a meeting or sending out a big blast to our planning partners that this change is happening.
Awesome. Let's see, we have another question here. What advice do you have for teams considering implementing Asana for similar planning and operation purposes?
Oh my God, I wish I could be back in the day where Asana is just about to be rolled out to the organization. So if you're just implementing Asana, for the ops folks on this call, definitely start with your center of excellence. What I mean by that is setting the norms and standards and expectations for the rest of the organization as they come on board. So company level bundles, guidance around how teams should be set up, building global custom fields that are company level that everyone knows to use so that you can leverage in universal reporting. Asana is a super flexible tool, but I think you'll find that for a new Asana user, there's just so much functionality in the platform that it's a bit too much of an open canvas. So we found that when new users or teams join Asana, one of the best ways to get them ramped on the platform is really by sharing company-specific projects or templates to show the art of the possible. And from there, they can use that as a jumping off point to start to tap into more features like rules and automations to build and scale their own workflows. And when you build a pre-populated list of custom fields that are company-wide, that all teams are already leveraging, you're also able to unlock the ability to work off of the same source of truth, which really highlights the power of universal reporting as well.
Okay, we have a little bit of time here. We're going to take another. We have company, regional, and team and individual goals that ultimately all tie together. Is there any plan to add a section for regional goals?
So there's no place to add a specific region tab necessarily, but the way that we view it Asana and the way that we've tackled it is there are company goals, and then team kind of becomes just a placeholder for something you can use for region or team. So for example, in that positive sales revenue goal that you saw earlier, there's my goal for executing a flawless sales planning cycle, but we have sub goals to the global goal that are assigned to our regional general managers of have AMER deliver X million in revenue, have EMEA deliver X million in revenue. And so that's how we work around that on our end.
Awesome. Thanks for the hack. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Yes, so we already know that reporting and stuff is only as good as the data that is in the platform. So we get this question a lot. How do you ensure that Asana is used internally and well and often enough for dashboards to be up to date?
Yeah, definitely. So I go back to the prior question where we talked about enabling that new user or new team to get up and running in Asana as quickly as possible. And so I think it's kind of a twofold approach. One, invest in your power users, your mobilizers, to make sure that they have everything they need and they're able to help create projects that other folks that they're working closely with can leverage so that there's further adoption of Asana. And then there's the other portion where you're supporting your new users and new teams so that they just become more and more inclined to use Asana versus sending out an email. And when I think about dashboards, one thing that was really effective for me is I sent out in all of my reporting just screenshots of dashboards and key visuals when I was sending out a note that my team is super slammed and there were 2,000 requests in the queue and we were working as hard as we could to tackle it. I would post a screenshot of the chart for visibility and then include a link to the dashboard so other folks could be leveraging the analytics and reporting that I created.
Awesome, thank you. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. I hope you guys all learned something. Thank you so much, Regine, for sharing your expertise, and Payam for showing us all the amazing things that we can do in Asana. This webinar has been recorded and you'll receive a copy of this recording in your email in the next 48 hours. Thank you guys all for joining us here today, and we hope to see you soon next time. Have a good one.